Well, I got sidetracked and I almost missed it. Didn't comb my hair, nothing. Uh, it's just not easy being me. It's probably going to be a short one today. I've only got one short video for you. I've been working on shingles primarily. The weather's supposed to turn horrible here, and it's supposed to get really cold. Sue is all uptight about it. She is so worried that we don't have enough firewood. And that's the most firewood we've had this year, and it'll last at least 2 weeks, I'm pretty sure. And she's going like, that's not going to last 2 weeks. And she's, don't you think we should go cut some more? It's like, give me a break. She is so hyped up about it. She's hyped herself into a frenzy. But anyway, I have just one little short video for you here, so I'll show you kind of what the status is of the shingle pile, trying to get ready to roof that darn building. Here we go. Well, we have got some more shingles. This big stack here is 3 cants, 3 18-inch long cants by about 8 inches approximately. Actually, they're probably more like 7 something. These last few were narrower. Yeah, they're 7. These down here, I think, are closer to 8. They're 7.5. So anyway, the way I've got it figured, we're probably about 12 square feet of coverage there. So that'd be like 2 feet high and 6 feet wide. So it's not a lot of coverage in one way. And then again, it may be more than that. I'm kind of figuring it conservatively. There's a lot of shingles there for kind of a little bit of coverage. So we'll have to wait and see how that all goes. But I'm a little nervous about it. I'm afraid we're going to run out of cedar trees before we run out of roof. Not really. There's zillions of cedar trees. But it's a lot of work cutting these things. By my conservative calculations, that is enough shingles to shingle half of one side. Wow, that's a lot of work to get half of one side. Now, I'm doing it conservatively. I think I'll get a full half for sure. Might get more than a half of one side, but probably not a lot more. So there you go. And these shingles are stacked here with strips of wood in between them so they'll dry. Just so you know, I did test the ones that have been sitting a few days, and they were several percentages drier than the ones that are fresh cut. So I don't think it's going to take too long for them to dry out enough to use. And I've got the furnace fixed. In fact, the furnace guys were here today, so the furnace will keep it warm in here and keep the air dry, and that'll help too. So I've got 3 more of those to do. 3 more piles like that. My gosh, what a lot of work. Yeah. So you see those 2 stacks, that I'm considering that one pile. And I need 3 more piles like that. So in other words, that's only 1/4 of what I need. By my calculations, and I'm just not 100% sure I don't need more than that. That's just, I'm trying to be conservative and figure it out. Anyway, we're going to go to the comments. I've noticed several people are talking about these terrorist attacks. I have an opinion I'm going to throw out there to you. It's just an opinion. Everybody has an opinion. My opinion is that I firmly believe this, that they should not ever, and I'm talking about the news media, the FBI, anybody talking about these attacks, they should not ever mention the name of the terrorist group. In other words, there's a group that starts with an I, and there's a group that starts with an H, and there's other groups too, I'm sure. I'm no expert on it. But I do know quite a bit about psychology, and they should not ever mention those groups' names. It steals their thunder by not mentioning their names. They should just say, like, for instance, the guy, he had a flag on his truck that drove through the New Orleans crowd, and they shouldn't mention the group that flag belongs to. They should just say he was in association, or he's associated to a terrorist group, and that's the most they should say, and they should, if they really want to even help it a little more, they just say he was associated to an unknown terrorist group or a low level terrorist group or something like that, to steal their thunder, because they love it. They love to take credit for these things, and it's a psychological thing. And if they don't ever get any press at all, then it just knocks them way down. And then, the more press they get, the more they love it. They love getting the press. It's just like Hollywood, for instance. It doesn't matter whether they get good publicity or bad publicity. They always say any publicity is better than none. Well, these terrorist people, they're getting all kinds of publicity and getting their names out there in the papers, and they're getting their name all over social media and everywhere. So that's their goal, is to raise them up and get more followers and all that stuff. And I firmly believe they should never mention the name of the group. They should just say he was associated to a low-level terrorist group or a no-name terrorist group or something like that. My opinion. Sticking to it. Dottie Hildebrand, prayers for the group. Thank you. Appreciate it. And Dottie says, thanks for the play along last night. You're welcome. And she said she left her donation in PayPal. Well, thank you very kindly. I appreciate that very much. It does take a lot of work and effort to do all this stuff. And I don't expect anything, but when you can, and if you do, I do definitely appreciate it. Kenneth Ennis, Jerry, everyone, Happy New Year from St. John, New Brunswick, Canada. Love your program. Well, thank you, Kenneth. Appreciate it. Moving on down, Kim Williford, Jerry, I enjoyed the sing-along last night. Well, thank you. I'm glad you liked it. I tried to pick out, they were mostly gospel last night. And I tried to pick out songs that I know are real popular, real hit type songs, the ones that people like to hear. Those are the ones we kind of did last night. I got some more of those in mind for next week, too. Let's see. Yeah, Kim's talking about that Tesla truck that blew up there in front of the Trump thing in Las Vegas. Again, I don't think he was associated to a terrorist group. I don't think, or did I miss that? I can't remember now. But anyway, regardless, they should just not mention what the terrorist group is. James Copy, went electric car shopping in home charge station, also home battery. Well, I think electric cars are great under certain circumstances. Mine is a hybrid. And I'll be honest, I'm a little leery of it now. I have to say, it's a Toyota RAV4, I think it is. Anyway, it's been perfect. I haven't had one problem with that car. Knock on wood. Not one problem. And it's a 2017, I believe it is. And so it's gone really, really, really well. And it's, mileage-wise, it's not great. It's like 36 miles to a gallon, which is way better than like a pickup truck, but it's not necessarily the best mileage you can get these days. But I'm worried that those batteries are going to go on the blinks, and that's not a fun thing. You're basically sitting there with a paperweight if those batteries go out, because it's not hardly worth replacing them because of the age of the car, So I'm really tempted to trade it in. I don't know if I should or not. Does anybody have any opinions on that? Let's see. Kim Williford says, Jerry, update on the attacks. New Orleans, 14 people killed, 36 people injured. Las Vegas got attacked as well via Tesla truck. Yep, I knew about all that stuff. It's not good. It's just not good. And and some of you are going to think I'm really ignorant for saying this, but I'm just going to say it anyway because it's the way I feel. And that is, the only good thing that happened out of both of those attacks is both attackers are dead. That's the good thing. And I'm glad they're dead. I mean, I'm not, why sugarcoat it? I'm glad they're dead. We don't have to house them in a jail. We don't have to pay for their, public defender. We don't have to, feed them for 30 years. I'm glad they're dead. I fully believe 100% we should bring back the capital punishment, and I think it should be quick and just and not lay around for 30, 40 years. It's just pitiful the way we do everything. It's the bad guys are the ones that are running the operation. In other words, the legal system, everything is being run by the bad guys. Not directly, but indirectly, because of all their lawyers, because of all their rights that they get to, And don't get me wrong, I don't want anything rushed to judgment. Not that kind. That's not what I'm saying either. But when it's absolutely black and white, and we know it's the problem, we know they did the thing. Get rid of them. Just get rid of them. Let's see. Moving on down. Scott Roberts. I've not ran a track one, only the rubber tire ones. Takes a lot of skill, assuming they respond about the same. You're talking about the skid steer. Oh, yeah, he says up there above that. I'm sorry, I missed it. It says, I don't know how many people have operated a Bobcat. I've got plenty of hours running one. I can say, Jerry, you do a fine job. Well, thank you. I've been running one for quite a long time, actually, about 25 years. I got my first one that I owned when we bought this farm, and we've had the farm about 26 years now. So, yeah, I've been running one ever since then. And you'd be surprised how much I've run one. I mean, I've run it a lot. I've dug ponds with them. I dug the big foundation for that big building, and miles and miles of ditch lines for wires and water. And seriously, I'm sure I've dug well over a mile of ditch lines here. Let's see. Moving on down, Cup of Cool. I was going to pound some sand in an anthill, but the ground is froze here in Virginia, so it was a no-go. Yeah, well, pound some sand. That's just an old Ozark saying. My mom used to say, well, my dad, I think, used to say it more than my mom in this case. My mom was the one that had most of the sayings, but my dad would have a few of them, too. And he says, hey, he ain't got enough sense to pound sand in a rat hole. I don't know. I think stuff like that's funny, but it's stuff I grew up with. I mean, I heard it my whole life. It's not like funny. It's not funny in the sense that you never heard it before, but when you stop and think about what they're actually saying, analyze it, it's funny. Kim Williford, I agree with you, Jerry, about not mentioning the names of the groups. But I seriously believe it. I mean, because that's what they're after. That's how they get their jollies. And they love to take credit for it. You notice that they often do. They often come out and say that ISIS took, was the one that knocked the buildings down or whatever. They often come out and take the credit. I say don't give them any credit. Ronald Todd, they're all about martyrdom. Yeah, well, I agree with that. I mean, and I say, fine, let them have their martyrdom, but just don't give them anything else. Don't give them nothing, nothing. And whenever you can, well, yeah, let me back that up. Give them a bullet anytime you can. But other than that, Hugh O'Connor, what surprises me most is the fact that most lone snipers and the guy in New Orleans were all trained by the U.S. Army. Yeah. Well, that's another thing, is that, all these terrorists and stuff, they love to come here, acclimate themselves to our life and our customs and our way, the way we do things. That just helps them out, whenever it comes time to do their deed, Well, just like the guys that came here to get the flight training to fly the planes into the buildings. It's pitiful. And we just fall for it. I don't know. Dottie, I traded my 2019 RAV4, traded it on a Toyota Highlander, and I love it. Okay. Well, Toyotas are good vehicles. I got to give them that. Overall, I've only had, I've only had two. I'm trying to think about it. But both of them have been excellent. Wavy gravy. One thing we'll never run out of is lunatics and nut jobs. Boy, that is a fact. R.A.N. Randall W.C. I don't recall seeing that one before. It says, my wife has an XLE Crown. It gets about 41 miles per gallon. XLE Crown. I don't know what that is offhand. Is that a Toyota? I don't know. I don't know cars. I don't know cars at all. And like I've told you before, I could care less about cars. To me, it's a point A to point B situation. That's all I care about. If it gets me there, I'm good. Eric Landers, hybrid batteries for RAV4 run about 2100. That's better than most. Okay. Well, I guess 2100 wouldn't be the end of the world, but it's got me kind of concerned. It's not that it's shown any sign of any problem. So far, it really hasn't. It seems to be working just fine. But I can't see how it could keep that up. You know how batteries are. They just don't seem to last too long. So I don't know. Well, look, guys, that's about everything I had for today. I just wanted to show you that I'm still working on shingles, and I also need to cut some more 2-inch material to cover that roof. See, I plan to cover the whole roof with 2-inch thick boards first. And you might say, why? That's overkill. Well, it's mainly so you don't see the nails. When you drive the nails through the shingles, if you only use a 3/4 inch roof, which is the standard, if you only use 3/4, well, your nails are going to be poking through. And from the inside of this building, you're going to be able to see the boards, So I don't want to see nails sticking through. So that's the idea behind that. But I've got enough 2-inch material probably to cover about, one side or maybe a little more than one side. I don't know for sure how much I've got, honestly, but so I know I need to cut a bunch more of that. So, and I've got those other small logs down there, so I'm going to cut those up. Maybe I'll do that this afternoon. And then the other side of me says, no, go metal detecting today. It's still warm out there, and it's going to get really cold. It's supposed to snow. It's supposed to be a mess here in the next few days. So I'm tempted to just take off and go metal detecting. I'd rather do that because it's a lot more fun for me. But you all have a great one. Hopefully I'm not even going to try to promise getting a video out this weekend because I doubt it's going to happen, to be honest with you. But I will see you on Monday with something else. If you're there, I would appreciate it. We'll see you when we see you, hopefully Monday.